What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another match preview as we go up to Ipswich tomorrow, 3 o'clock kickoff. And it's time to get revenge on those tractor boys after they beat us at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. You know, at the beginning of that game, everything looked all rosy. Spurs were, you know, going okay. We were up and down in the league, but, you know, full bill of health pretty much. We were unbeaten at home, I think it was, apart from the Arsenal game. We were going really well at home. And then ever since that Ipswich
You were giving
game,
Ange 8 out of 10.
I was giving Ange 8 out of 10. And ever since then, it's just gone all horribly wrong. Yeah. But look, basically right now is the first time that we've had this thick, full of a squad since then.
And 3 weeks as well for the other players who are clearly running on empty to kind of get up to speed and get that sharpness and that little bit of a break, which we've been severely lacking for the past 2 months. So let's hope we get a big performance. Let's hope that leads to better kind of levels that we have seen compared to the last 2 months. And Ipswich are going to be fighting for their lives. It's not going to be an easy game, but look, things should be hopefully going to start to turn for Spurs.
Yeah, just before we carry on with this match preview, let's give a big shout out to our sponsors, Stocks FC. Build, buy and sell football players on their stock market. Build a portfolio of your favourite players and earn weekly, monthly and season rewards through Stocks FC. If you do use our link in the QR code right on the screen or in the description below, then you'll get 5 free loan players straight into your wallet, where you'll get to keep the profits of each and every one of those players once the loan duration is over. Is important to note. It's just a bit of fun, guys. Don't try and use it as a second income, but you can make a bit of money on here. So we've been enjoying the platform for the last couple of months really now, and let's go and see what we're doing on there. Our portfolio is completely stocked, whichever way you want to look at it, and you have to go get your stocks in Jed Spence. Put your money where your mouth is. Jed Spence is absolutely balling it out right now. They've currently got IPO where they've released Jed Spence, and he's at a fairly good price as well.
2 days to go to the IPO ends, and only 1,500, nearly 1,600, of his stocks have been sold. And we know his stocks have been rising. There's talks of an England call around on the horizon for him as well. So I think it's a good time to get in on him. I think he's going to rise.
Yeah, definitely before the England call up. I do think he's going to get called up for England. So, you know, get your stocks in Jed Spence while you can. The player that's actually doing the best for us on our portfolio is Richarlison, funnily enough, because when we bought him, he had that initial burst, and then he went down when he got injured. And now, for some reason, he's gone all the way up again. So Richarlison is our biggest moneymaker right now.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why, because he's just been injured. So I'm not sure why people are invested in him, but people seem to think maybe he's going to come back from injury and start scoring goals again. We know Solanke's still currently injured. Tell's at the helm at the moment, but you can't buy stocks in Tell. So Richarlison on the up at the moment, plus 13% overall. We've got him at a plus 60% since we brought him in.
Yeah. 2 other players that have done well for us is Mateta and Cuti Romero. So once Cuti Romero gets fit, and just says that he's going to be back for hopefully the first leg of the RZ game in 2 weeks' time. So
with Mickey as well.
That to go up as well, Mickey van der Ven as well.
Yeah.
So that is Stocks FC, guys. Link in the description below. QR code on screen in just a second. So be in it to win it, guys. You've got to be in it. And it's just a bit of fun. And come and join us on the platform. And let us know in the comment section below which players you'll be investing your stocks in. But let's get back into the preview. Ipswich against Tottenham. And we just need to... It's actually mad to think about. If we win this game, we are back 3 wins back to back in the Premier League,
which would be fantastic considering the form we've been on. Any kind of run of form, I don't know if last time we won 3 games in a row under Ange, it's probably been a while. So I think we definitely need to get back on track. We definitely need to start tossing up those wins and getting closer to the top half. And this is a really good opportunity. We've got a big game against City on Wednesday as well. So it was interesting hearing Ange and his presser talking about potentially seeing this as an opportunity to give some players who have played a lot of minutes a bit of respite before knowing that there's 2 games in the next few days. So I do wonder what kind of lineup he'll put out, but I think it's a really good opportunity to carry on that form and prove that the Tottenham we saw during those 2 months is not the real Spurs.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. And I think it's safe to say it's not, because whatever bones you got to pick with the manager, the extent of this form has been a lot to do with the injuries that we do have. So I think it's important.
But I asked you, is it going to improve when the players come back? You said no.
No, I said yes. I said I think we'll get a few more results, but I don't think it will improve to the level that we want it to improve to. That's what I said.
Fair enough. Okay.
But look, in terms of this game particularly, you've got a team that I felt like with Ipswich, like at one point in the season, you really saw what they were trying to do. You saw maybe performances there where they weren't getting the results, but I feel like now you're not really seeing those. I know they played pretty well against Villa last weekend and got a draw, but I think Villa pretty much should have won that game. But I'm not seeing maybe the level of performance that maybe we saw earlier in the season from Ipswich.
Yeah, I mean, they lost to Southampton at home not so long ago, who are a team that everyone loses to, and a team who are currently not even breaking the lowest points tally in Premier League history so far. So that was obviously a major blow for Ipswich. I still watch them, and when I watch them play, they still do seem like quite a well-organised team, and they are tough to break down, and most games are quite close for them. It's not like they're getting battered a lot of the time. But
they're a team that want to play, don't they? They want to play. Yeah,
they play out from the back. They can obviously be pragmatic when you want them to. We've seen them play counter-attacking football as well. They beat Chelsea, obviously, at Portman Road maybe a few weeks ago, and that was quite an impressive kind of counter-attacking performance, and they kind of played in a low block, and Liam Delap and Hutchinson were just causing damage on the breakaway, and I'm sure that's what they're going to try and do against us. Interestingly, if you cast your mind back to the game at the Tottenham Stadium, they actually changed their formation for that game. They went 5 at the back, which is not something they've been doing a lot recently, and it's not their main formation. But they came up with, my point being, they came up with a game plan against us, played 5 at the back, went low block and exploit us on the counter, and it paid off for them on the day. So I wonder if they'll revert back to their formation in this one.
Yeah, it's interesting because that game against Chelsea, first of all, I think it's their only home win of the season, which is mad to think about when we're sitting here in the back end of February. But when you talk about being 5 at the back, they actually did that against Man City a few weeks ago, and they got absolutely tore a new one, didn't they? They lost 6-0 at Portman Road, and then they played Liverpool the week after, reverted back to the 4 at the back, and then lost 4-1. Anyway, but that was at Anfield, so you can kind of give them a pass on it. But yeah, I think they will end up going 5 at the back, because I think as well you can see that we do struggle against teams 5 at the back when they get it wide, and you've got a player like Leif Davis on that left-hand side who's really got quality.
He does, and if you give him time and space on that left-hand side, which we tend to do sometimes against wing-backs, then we can struggle. I feel like against Man United, obviously, we played against the 5 at the back, and I actually feel we didn't have as much trouble against the wing-backs as in that specific game as we had in previous games. So maybe they're kind of coming up with some sort of solution. But I know Leif Davis hasn't maybe been as good in recent weeks as he was near the beginning of the season, but he's got a wonderful left foot, unbelievable delivery, and you give him a chance to whip it in with the likes of Delap in the centre, and you know that's something that can pay dividends for them. That's a really good avenue. And we know about Liam Delap. He's had a brilliant season, such an ox of a striker, so strong, got unbelievable work ethic, never stops running, will hound down the defenders, and he's one of these players who, even when he's up front by himself and he's got 2 defenders up against him, he'll back himself to make something of that. And against Chelsea, it really worked on that occasion, and he was causing them all sorts of trouble. But yeah, I don't know his recent form. I don't know how many goals he scored in recent weeks. Liam Delap got a goal against Tuiafe, scored against Villa and scored against Southampton, so not bad. But he's having a brilliant season. He's the talk of a lot of top clubs.
Regardless whether he scores or not, he always provides a threat, and he always provides you something to think about. He's a really good presser. He's really strong, and he's always in and amongst it. I mean, how brilliant was he in that performance against Chelsea?
Yeah, phenomenal.
A couple of weeks ago, unbelievable stuff. So he does give you something to worry about, and I am worried about that space that we leave him behind on the right-hand side with Pedro Porro, with Leif Davis to exploit that, because like we said before, he really does have the quality to put it on a plate for someone like Liam Delap. So yeah, that's the kind of main thing I'm worried about in this game. But if we kind of stick to our guns, players should be refreshed, with players coming back as well. Brennan Johnson should have had 2 weeks on the training pitch, such as the likes of Destiny Udogie. Do you think he starts in this game?
Yeah, it's interesting listening to Ange. He was talking about players who need a rest, like a doggy, like Porro, Kulusevski, Archie Gray, who obviously played a lot, albeit he didn't start last game. And he was saying, yeah, it's a good opportunity to get the likes of Udogie and Brennan some minutes. He didn't say, he said whether they could start this game or maybe on Wednesday, but I'm looking at, obviously Man City, I know they lost to Madrid, but they seem to be in a bit of resurgent form. Is he going to want players near 100%, because these players coming back obviously ready to play, but are they 100% match fit, or do they need to really get back to like peak fitness, and are they at that stage yet? So I do wonder if he brings in Udogie for this one and then starts maybe Jed on the left-hand side potentially on Wednesday.
I'd like to see that, maybe Porro. Yeah, I'd like to see Porro given a rest this weekend, Udogie and Spence in his natural position, and then on the Wednesday, yeah, it depends who he sees fit. I like the beauty of having these three players, Spence, Porro and Udogie, with the quality they are. I'm not really bothered about which one play, because I think they're all as good as each other, really.
Yeah, they're all good. They all have their qualities, and at the moment they're all obviously Udogie's been injured, but Spence and Porro, I think last few games have played quite well, and I think Spence has really come into his own, and obviously we know how good Udogie can be, especially when he's fully fit. So I think we hope to see him this weekend. I think it's a good opportunity, and I think, yeah, hopefully Spence starts on the right, but then interesting decision he'll have come Wednesday, what he does if Udogie comes in and plays really well. He'll have an interesting decision to make. Whether I think Decky definitely needs a rest. I think hopefully we can see Brennan start on the right as well.
But all will be revealed in our predicted lineup.
Yeah, we'll see. But I think hopefully over the next two games, Ange has been criticised for not rotating enough and not rotating properly. So I think this should provide him a good opportunity to do that, and I want to see him do it.
Yeah. This head-to-head between Ipswich and Spurs don't make for pretty reading. I know they haven't been in the Premier League in a very long time, but we've lost 4 consecutive games in the Premier League to Ipswich.
Spanning 25 years.
Yeah, madness, but still. Like, even in 2000, 2001, 2002, we probably would have favourites for all those games.
Well, weren't Ipswich finishing 5th then? They finished 5th one of those years.
Yeah, maybe. But I think that was a massive surprise that they finished 5th. That.
It was, but still. Yeah, but we probably were favourites going into these games.
Weren't they 5th, like, in their first year back in the Premier League or something?
Something like that. I can't remember exactly. I think 2001 it might have been. 0001.
Who was their manager that year? I can't remember.
Oh, George. What's his name? George something? I can't remember. Burley?
Burley?
Yeah.
George Burley?
Is that his name?
Maybe. I don't know.
Graham Burley?
I've got his face pictured in my head.
Me too. I think it's Burley. It's definitely Burley. It's something Burley. I think it's
Craig Burley?
Craig Burley? That sounds right.
I don't know.
No, I think that's someone else. I don't know. Burley, though. Someone Burley. Anyone in the comments can help. But anyway, yeah, what are you trying to say? They've got something over us.
Well, judging by that, it seems as though they do. They even beat us this season.
They did beat us this season, yeah, true.
George Burley, that's it. George Burley. Big up, Max.
Yeah. So Craig Burley played for Ipswich. Yeah, George Burley. So he was quite good for them. I don't know. I don't really hold too much stock in these things, but they do have a good record against us, so they might be tapping into it.
You might not hold stock on it, but I mean, it does come into play a lot with our record at Stamford Bridge, Emirates, and all these places.
I think Ipswich is the same thing.
Well, we have lost 4 in a row. I'm playing around for the most part. I am playing around for the most part, and we need to go there and basically get revenge on that game earlier on this season. As much as, because let's be real, this game in the grand scheme of things for us don't really mean that much, but what it does mean is that we can get the good feeling around the place, go into the Europa League with a bit of momentum, because we got nothing really to play for in the league. But what we do have to play for is Ange Postecoglou's future and building momentum for the Europa League.
Yeah, I think it does mean a lot from that sense, because if you lose, right, that's just another way of attacking Ange. It's just another way of people saying he's not good enough, all that kind of stuff. And I think if the players, do want Ange to stay and want to fight for him, I think it is quite an important game. And obviously we do need to start climbing the table. We do need to get closer to that top half and start pushing these other teams. And the only way to do that is to win games consistently. And that will just keep the good feeling around the club, hopefully to build momentum into OP, but also to try and build some sort of momentum in the league and try and go on a bit of a winning run to create that good feeling. So on that front, I do think it's important, because you lose the game and all of a sudden that negative feeling comes around again. The fans start getting on the players and managers back again, and we need to avoid those kind of situations happening as much as we can. So I think it is quite an important game, and I think we do need to win. And I think it is important for Ange's future, and important just how we see ourselves at the moment, where we're heading, and what we can achieve this season.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree in that sense. I was just basically talking about in terms of if there is anything to play for in the league, and the answer is no. So everything is just surrounding basically good feeling and the outlook of Ange Postecoglou's job.
There's nothing to play for until there is.
Yeah. And even if we win every game from now to the end of the season, where do you think we finish up?
If we win every game, literally 13 wins, how many points is that? That's 13 wins would be 39, right? 39 points.
Yeah.
That's 69. That probably gets us top 5.
You reckon top 5?
69 for sure. That's a good points total. That's 1 off 70.
How many realistic points do you reckon we'll get though?
Yeah, you're probably losing at Anfield. Probably, knowing our record at Stamford Bridge, probably not getting anything there.
Be so classic, Spurs at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea have losing every single game. We'll go there. We'll just get shown up. But I think we can go to Stamford Bridge and actually do something this season. It
all depends, because also we're going to have Europa League between these games, some of these games. So also depends on what players stay fit or not. But if we can, and just earmarking the Europa League first leg for Mickey and Kuti. He's saying that he's taking his time, so to make sure that when they come back, they stay back and they have them for the rest of the season. If that can be the case, so the first leg, how many games? It's just between Ipswich and City, just 2 more games.
Yeah, we've got a week break from Ipswich to the Europa League.
So if we come back at that point and they're staying fit and playing consistently, and obviously Danso comes in some games potentially, and potentially Davis, but if we're playing Mickey and Kuti in most games, I think we can go on a decent run. But I do think asking this team to go on that kind of run is going to be unlikely, and we probably will drop some silly points, and there's going to be games where we expect to win and we don't, and it's going to be frustrating. But if we can get just show some solid consistency between now and the end of the season, get 8 or 9 wins, something like that, and show that we can really play this the way Ange wants on a consistent basis and get good results, I think that's the main thing. But in terms of trying to close the gap between us and Bournemouth, Chelsea, Newcastle, Fulham, Villa, Brighton. At the moment, we're 7 points off 10th. So I do think all these teams are going to go for really inconsistent periods, and I do believe that 5th place is not going to be 70 points. It's going to be mid 60s. But whether we hit that, I think it's going to be a tall order, unfortunately.
An almighty run to hit 65 or whatever it may be.
That's 65 would be 35 points. I mean, that's basically.
Win every game bar 2.
That's basically 11 wins and 2 draws.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't really see us doing that.
I see our ceiling this year probably being around 8th, and I think from the position that we found ourselves in, that will probably be a good return.
Yeah, I would say so. Our best route for sure of European football is getting into the Champions League. I think unfortunately, I can see us. Really potentially overtaking Fulham, Villa and Brighton, but then when it comes to Newcastle, Chelsea, Bournemouth, if Chelsea get players back and get a bit of consistency back, then I think the gap will be too big. So I don't see us really challenging that top 7, but I think 8th would probably be our ceiling. If we get 8th in Europa League, I think, considering the mire we were in and people even talking about relegation at one point, it wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we just need to take each game as it comes. But back on the point you were making about Van de Ven, would you toy with the idea of only playing him in Europa League games from now to the end of the season?
I wouldn't say only Europa League, but potentially when it's Europa League and Premier League, you basically prioritise Europa League and then rest him for that Prem game. But when there are 3 weeks, you can play him. I don't see a reason why not. And I think he needs to also, he can't just be kept on ice every few weeks. You need to play him fairly regularly as well. So, and it's important. We feel like we can play him, and we can't just play him once every 3 weeks or whatever it is. So, I don't know about just Europa League, but I think prioritise Europa League for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So, score prediction.
I am going to go for 2-1 Spurs. I still think it's going to be a fairly tight game. I look at Ipswich, and they're, as much as they're near the bottom of the league and they're struggling, and they lost us to teams like Southampton. They also went to Villa. They got a draw. They beat Chelsea. They're not the easiest team to play against. They're not like one of these terrible teams who have previously been in relegations battles and where you think like it's just going to be a breeze. That's not how I feel when you play Ipswich. They are well organised. They can be fairly difficult to play through, and they're very aggressive. They can play good football at times, and they do have some good quality with Delap and Hutchinson and Davis. They got quality there. So I expect a tough game, but I do feel like this feel-good factor around Tottenham with players coming back and new energy in the team, I do think that's going to make the difference. And I obviously think the quality we have is better anyway. So if we can start to turn some momentum, start to get that positive feeling, hopefully we can really take that into this game and get over the line. And I think these early few weeks, whilst we're getting these players back, I think we'll see a positive difference. But I don't think we're going to start blowing teams away yet until everyone's fully integrated back into the team. So I think it might be a few more weeks up till then. But I think this game we will win 2-1.
The thing is, though, like you say, they're not like a usual relegation team, but the reality is, since the beginning of December, they've won one game right at home, and that's been all season. But they've barely scored a goal at home in that period as well. Apart from that Chelsea game, they lost 2-1 to Southampton. They scored there. They lost 2-1 to Bournemouth. I mean, they lost 1-0 to Palace. They've lost 4-0 to Newcastle, 2-0 to Brighton, 6-0 to Man City. I mean, I'm looking at other teams that have come up. Like, their home is supposed to be their bread and butter, and that's where they pick up the majority of their points. And Ipswich just can't seem to do that.
I think that's probably more to do with the gulf between the Championship and the Premier League, which we're seeing, I think, increasing over the last couple of years.
Right, last season, I felt they were harder to play against at Luton than maybe Ipswich are at Ipswich.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. But I think, that might be the case. I just look at whenever I watch Ipswich play, a lot of the times they are in the game, and it's very, very close, and they lose by fine margins. Yes, against better teams, against the likes of City and Liverpool, they got Newcastle. They took some heavy defeats, but as well, I think when they do get things right, they are extremely difficult to play against. As I say, they beat Chelsea. They drew with Villa not so long ago. Last game they drew with Villa, even with 10 men. There was 0-0 with 10 men, and they scored. So that shows a well organised team. Kieran McKenna's a good manager. I like him. I think he's got them well set up. I think unfortunately the quality gap is just too great at the moment for them, but I can see this being a tough game.
They seem to pick up a lot more points on the road than they do at home, which is a strange one. I just want to see what the stats are on that. At home, they've picked up 7 points all season, and away from home, they've picked up 10. So, I mean, there's not much in it, but still. Like, you look at recent weeks, the Villa game, they drew 1-1. They beat Fulham at Craven Cottage not long ago.
They drew, I think, 2-2.
Well, they drew. So, I mean, they do pick up. So they beat us, obviously, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as well. So they do pick up some sort of more impressive results away from home than they have at home recently. So, and they beat Wolves, didn't they, at Molineux not long ago. So, yeah, look, on having said all that, I do think Spurs are going to win. I don't think it's going to be easy. I think it's going to be a tight 2-1 win. I think if Spurs were in full flight and Spurs were really confident and we were playing good, consistent stuff at the moment, I think we could probably dispatch of them fairly easily and make it a significant victory. But I think just because we've got a few players coming back, I think there is a possibility where you look at the likes of Brennan Johnson, Adogi, Odebear, these guys that have had more training in their legs now and they should be somewhat fresh. Ange did say that, we're going into this quite fresh. There is a possibility that we can stamp our authority in this game quite early and the game can get away from Ipswich. But I'm just going to err on the side of caution a little bit, and I'm going to say a hard-fought 2-1 victory. But I wouldn't be surprised if it does click for us in this game.
Yeah, I hope so. And I think there were signs of it at United without it really getting into full flight. And look, it's a chance to get 3 wins on the bounce and just build some momentum, and that's going to be really important for the last couple months of the season.
Yeah. All right, well, that is